get the learning report the same as last time. So in small groups, you will do it together. So look already now your pair, someone who is sitting close to you, that you can do it together. Because you remember it's a reflection. You reflect, discuss, and then you write only the key points. But during the guest lecture, write at least 10 to 20 learning key points. What was interesting? What was something that you learned? So during Kaisa's talk, you can already write down. So it's easier to do the report. And we will give you some time because the lecture actually ends at 3:30. So you will have some time in the end to also do the report. So you don't have to use your Friday evening for that. But yeah, be awake. It will be easier for you to do this when you listen carefully. And actually, today's topic might help you also with the group assignment. So there is some info about Finland as a tourism destination as well. But now let's give the stage to Kaisa, and I will also move there.
Okay, nice to see everyone here this Friday afternoon. And so I'm Kaisu Maijala, and I come from a faraway place called Espoo, probably never heard. And I would much rather give this talk in a forest, but since it's not practical for this size of group at this time of year, we'll do it here. But you can maybe experience some virtual nature experiences even during this afternoon. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for that. So let's just start with the first slide. A few words about myself. So a couple of years ago I made a huge change in my working life. And I used to work in a completely different branch and field. I was doing marketing, fundraising, and communications in different charities, different third sector NGOs here in Finland, mostly related to like development work. There was UNICEF, there was church, there was the Red Cross. Super interesting, motivating work, and I got the chance to travel and see the destinations that we had projects in. But it was quite intense, and after about 20 years I felt that it's time for something completely different than just sitting with a laptop in my office, being far away from the people that we're actually doing something for. And I missed being with people, I missed being outside, and I was fed up and burned out, to be honest. And so I started figuring out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, the typical midlife crisis. And I thought, well, what are some of the most important things that give me strength in life? What things do I really love? What would I be happy to work with for the coming years? And one thing was well-being, which is quite obvious since I had been not taking care of myself properly during those years with small children, everything, hectic life, divorce, everything. So I decided to make a complete change first in my personal life. I started taking care of my sleeping, my exercise, my eating habits, but that was not quite enough. I needed to make a bigger change and start also working in a different branch. So I found that, well, actually, one thing that I had missed during those years and I had no time for, and I had somehow forgotten, my connection to nature. When I was younger, I went to the Girl Scouts. My grandmother's farm was in the countryside. I used to spend my summers as a child there, even though I lived in a the city. I come from Tampere actually. And so nature was kind of self-evident part of my earlier life until the rush years. And then I figured that, okay, I need to go back there. Because when I was burned out, I found that actually the best thing that made me feel better was just walking in the woods, being in the forest, greenery, walking by the lakeside, seaside, anything outdoors, and that made a huge difference when I started to recover. So well-being and nature, those were the two things that I found that I really want to work with. And then the next question was, well, how shall I go there? What are the next steps? And I was trying to look for different courses, new education, because my degree is actually from social sciences, international relations and English. So that was not quite helpful in this new direction. Of course, it's always a good basis to have experience and different kinds of education too. But I found that actually there was a thing called nature well-being. And this was like a huge discovery for me, because I had no idea that somebody else already found this thing that nature makes us feel better and is good for our health. As self-evident as it sounds, there was a branch in science that is studying this phenomenon, and there are different types of methods. And there was a thing called forest bathing. How many of you have heard this word before, forest bathing? Not too many. So I guess that's the situation still here in Finland in general. Not so many people have heard about this, but actually the Japanese coined that phrase in the 80s. Of course, in ancient times, well, we'll go there later. I can see that I'm not using my slides. But in ancient times, it's been always like wisdom among the indigenous peoples and in ancient culture, ancient Greece. There's a lot of material and texts and books about how the connection to nature is the basis for all life and culture for us humans. But in the 80s, the Japanese started to study this scientifically and try to find out why is it that nature is so rehabilitating, if you will, or makes us feel better and makes our health better too. And so they developed kind of a method called Shinrin Yoku, which is Japanese meaning forest bathing. And maybe you know that Japan's big cities, there are so full of people, there are so much traffic jams, people are super busy, working long hours, really stressed out, and this has been a problem for years over there. So the government and the health officials started to find different ways to help this situation and support people and help them to de-stress and unwind and teach people how to manage the stress of everyday life in the cities. And that was supported by the scientific work, and nowadays there are many health forests in Japan, and the doctor can send people there. It's like a recipe that you go to nature. And you go there, they measure your blood pressure before you enter the forest, then you go on a tour with a guide, you do different types of mindfulness type of exercises there, and then they measure your blood pressure again when you come back. And usually it's much lower when you started off. So this is actually part of their official healthcare system now. And the idea has since then spread everywhere in the world in different forms with a little bit different names. But the idea is basically the same. And even here in Finland, some some official institutions have been doing more research in the Finnish conditions about this phenomenon. But still, even after so many years when this all started in Japan, we still don't have it as a part of healthcare, for example, here in Finland, even though there are initiatives and different kinds of projects, but it's not like still an official part that I think it should be, and many other people think so too. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, so I decided to find some education, even though there was no actual course for becoming a forest bathing instructor here in Finland, but there are some methodology courses. There's the forest mind method. There's the green care, which is more like towards the healthcare and social sector workers, maybe, and but not like a real official education. So I decided that I will do what I can do here in Finland, and I found a nature and wilderness guide course, and I took that because that gives you actually a professional qualification to act as a guide, a nature guide. And I went there 2 years ago, and that was a wonderful year. And I got so much out of it in terms of, taking groups to nature, learning how to hike and camp winter, summer, all the equipment, knowing more about natural phenomena, plants, fish, birds, anything. It was really a great year, but I still felt that, well, this is not quite what I want. I still want the well-being part stronger. And last year I took this Forest Mind course, and right now I'm doing this online course. It's a European Forest Therapy Hub organization, and that will give me the sort of title Forest Therapy Guide and Practitioner. So that's something that I didn't find in Finland, and I hope that this will help me to do more in this field. But nowadays there are more education courses here in Finland as well, like I mentioned the green care, if you're interested to Google. So last year I also decided that, well, there's no going back to my old life. I just absolutely was horrified about the idea that I would be back at my old office, even though it was really a good job. So I decided just to take a leap of faith, and I put up my own company, Soul Wellbeing, Nature Wellbeing. And this year, just a few months ago, I opened my web pages, and now I'm trying to market it and do marketing about forest bathing trips and lectures, and slowly try to find the right target group, so to say, which has been slow, but I will get there. We can talk more about it with Kaisa, who is actually doing the same thing in her other job. But my logic also behind why I was courageous enough to do this crazy leap of faith from a secure paying job was that we had COVID-19, during which so many people found nature as like an outlet or something to do. You couldn't travel, you couldn't meet people. The only thing you could basically do was to go out and go into nature. So there was something good about it, that so many people that never maybe before went out to nature, they found these places. So that's still like there, and it hasn't disappeared, even though now people can do other things too. And also this whole epidemic of, like, one example of it, burnouts, mental health problems. We spend so much time sitting down inside with our laptops, our phones, and there's like you could say that it's a nature deficit disorder, that we are, most of our time we spend somewhere else than outside. And of course, in Finland, the weather is a big reason for that, for a big part of the year, but still, there's a lot to do in that respect. And even though Finland has a reputation of being a country where people live close to nature. We have so much forest, summer cottages. People know a lot about nature. They go berry picking, mushroom picking, fishing, hunting, whatever. But in the big cities and in Helsinki, I think there are still or already quite a lot of people who don't have that connection anymore. Maybe in the countryside it's still better. So we have a need to, cut this, go offline, spend some time in nature, get our nature connection back, and de-stress there and take care of ourselves too at the same time. So, just a couple of words about my company. What does this weird word mean? So, I just decided to put together 3 words. Soul, which means that you should listen to yourself, how you're feeling, also pay attention to your well-being. A reminder to slow down. We are so hectic, so busy in our lives. It's important to also remember the other part, to rest enough. And also the owl is a symbol of wisdom, I guess. So the owl is teaching us something about nature and just observing and being still. So what I offer are restorative forest bathing excursions for anybody, for just normal people, and also companies and different kinds of groups, associations, hobby groups, can be whatever. And basically in the Helsinki metropolitan area, we have so many nice nature places over here, especially abroad. People are quite amazed when they find out how much forest there is in the middle of Helsinki. And all the seaside, all the islands, there are so many nature reserves. You just have to research into it a little bit. And we'll go there, the places a little bit more later. So I was thinking that maybe it's tiring to listen to somebody else all the time. So you can have a pair or a small group discussion for just a few minutes and activate your brain cells. If you think of your relationship to nature, what does nature mean to you personally? What can you remember? Are there some special memories that come to your mind? So think for yourself just a little while and then turn to somebody that is sitting close to you and share your thoughts.
Nothing. Pankete. Lagi gender gitu. ഉണ്ട്. ഇവിടെ
if you had a chance to share something, I'm sure we could spend the rest of the afternoon doing this. But it would be wonderful to hear if you would like to share something that you heard your friend saying or that you remembered yourself. Is there anybody who would like to share?
Nature is a home, it's a memory, it's a peaceful, and it's a childhood. Since we are born in the lap of the nature, and I remember every holidays, every vacation spending with the nature, either going in a hiking or rafting or jungle safaris and so on. So it is basically my childhood. So I believe nature is a memory.
Which country can I ask?
I'm from Nepal.
Oh, nice.
So anyone?
Yeah,
Another Nepali. Come on, different country. Please.
So I also from Nepal. So nature is like that as you say, it is everything. So one thing that means to me for nature is like I can be myself as a nature. That is the main thing, and the silence, the peace, and the joy. And what we discussed for the memory was nature experiences. So since I was grown up in rural areas of Nepal, so nature was the healing platform for me. But at the same time, it was cruel at the same time. So the most memorable nature experience is like uh, we had to climb. We had to climb to 3 hours to reach to the school and cross the forest. So those we had to do like every day when we used to go to the school. So that was the most memorable experience for us.
yes, thank you. Very nice to hear that there are people from Nepal. I've been there once and saw the mountains and Everest and it's something else. No comparison to Finland, but anyway, it's really nice to hear that you
Anyone?
learn.
21.
I was in Kathmandu and then I can't remember, it was quite close to next valley or something over there. I have to check it, I don't remember now the name of it, but not so far away from Kathmandu. But still I saw the countryside. Yeah, yeah Kathmandu. I don't remember, sorry. We can look at the map later. Okay, anybody else? Yeah. So just keep it very close because it's so quiet.
So we from Sri Lanka. So we were discussing about the nature, especially about elephants, watching elephants, like
Elephants,
India
yeah.
own habitat, not seeing those animals close to humans. So we all were discussing about that. So it is not only the forest, but if you can see animals in the nature, looking at them from a distance, give us kind of a, like, especially elephants, how they behave. We can look at them for hours and hours. It gives us kind of calmness and everything. And even like, she has a experience with seeing elephant, two elephants fighting. Whoa. Yeah. So we were discussing on that. So it is not only the forest, but the owners of the forest, the animals, is also giving us kind of a relief and not touching them.
Yes, animals is a big part of nature connection. True.
I'll add something to that. When I was in Sri Lanka, I had a very hectic working lifestyle. 24/7 all this per Zoom. Then when we have time, our study is over. Normally, I used to go to a bungalow that operated by the company. It's in a rural area. Only thing in Sri Lanka is within few hours we are able to reach. If it is mountain, we can go to mountain. If it was about beaches, then we can beaches. So the place I'm living is rural area. In 2-3 hours we can reach there. So we can still use to go there and we with the electric devices, we just listen to the nature. The birds are chirping and the waters are like flowing. So it's kind of a therapy to our mind. We can close our eyes and listen to the nature. So it's like a healing power.
Exactly. Thank you. Anyone else?
Someone from Finland maybe can say also. You guys there? Give it to him close. Yes. That's the last one.
I don't have anything to say about Finland.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, snorkeling around the world and going to safari and everything like that. Swimming, one of those things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the typical Finnish answer that there's nothing to see in Finland. But actually, your mind could change when you just look closely enough. But of course, it's true that there is more biodiversity and the weather everywhere else. But there's actually surprisingly a lot to see also here in Finland. And maybe it takes some age to appreciate it. You have to go see the world first. Okay, thank you.
You have to become a granny like me.
Yeah. So I was thinking of mentioning just briefly just general traits of nature tourism in Finland, if that's not something that you are very familiar with yet. So Visit Finland is the official travel organization in Finland, and you can find the page at visitfinland.com and explore more there. And they have divided geographically Finland into like 4 main travel areas. Of course, Lapland is number 1 in terms of numbers of tourists and as an attraction, but there are also many other places. So the main places here are the coast and the archipelago, the lakeland, the Saimaa area, and then the Helsinki region. Well, you could also disagree with this because there are also other ways to look at the country, but this is like how Finland would like to attract visitors, or where they would like to attract visitors. Of course, it's important to make it simple and not put 100 places there. But so Helsinki region is one of the places, and we have great nature here too. And still the image of Finland is that we have a lot of pure, silent nature, a lot of forests, just a handful of people in comparison to the land area. And that's all true. There are most trees per capita actually here in the world. And everybody has a place, maybe 300 meters from their home, that is either a park or a small forest. It's quite easy. Nature is quite accessible in comparison to many of the big cities in the world. So that's something special here in Finland. And we have quite many national parks too, 41. And the oldest one was, or the 2 oldest ones were Pallas Ounastunturi and Pyhätunturi, tunturi meaning fell. So those are in Lapland, and they were founded 1938. And one special trait about the national parks is that they are completely free to enter. In many other countries, you have to pay a small fee or bigger fee to even get there. So we can roam wherever we like, and it's covered with taxes. All the the signposts and the campsites, fireplaces, toilets, maps. There are a nature center in every national park guiding visitors. So that's all, everything that is like public service, which we have to be happy for, and therefore we also have to take care of the nature, that it stays that way, because there have been plans to put a fee also here in Finland, because people are littering and they are doing stuff that they're not supposed to do there. So you could cover a part of that, and also part of the kind of maintenance costs with the fees, but we will see how it goes. So far it's been free. And if you want to explore more, or you feel like you want to start collecting the national parks, as some people do, they try to go to all of them, so you can start with the nationalparks.fi. And then also you have to remember that there are so many other places besides the national parks, like much closer, and also here in Uusimaa district. So the Uusimaa district destinations you can look at the uuvi.fi. So that's an association that owns recreation areas here in Helsinki, Vantaa, Kirkkonummi, Espoo area, and there are really special smaller destinations there, and I really recommend going there if you can. And also in the city of Helsinki, there are many nature spots and smaller nature reserves, and there's a link there. You can just go to helsinki.fi and Google there, or hell.fi actually. So that's where you can start if you look for places to go. If not during the winter, maybe in the spring. And something that's good to familiarize yourself with is also the everyone's rights. That it is a Nordic phenomenon, that we have a special permit to go in any forest and just roam there, no matter who owns it. And that's something very special if you think globally. And so you can walk, ski, cycle, or horseback ride freely, but you are not supposed to go too near to houses or private areas. So just respect people who live there. But otherwise you can still go. And also if there's farming fields and something is growing something there, obviously you're not supposed to go there and travel. And you can camp out temporarily with no cost. You don't go too close to anybody's home. You can pick wild berries, mushrooms, flowers, but you have to check that they are not anything protected. And the main rule is that you don't take anything that is like growing, like you don't cut branches or take anything like that. If it's fallen on the ground, you can take it, or if it's berries or mushroom. And also, you don't have to pay for fishing with a simple rod and line, but you do need a fishing permit then if you use other methods. You can find more information about that. You can use boat, you can swim, bathe in inland waters and the sea. And again, just don't go to anybody's cottage beach or something like that. But before you go, it's good to check, because there are some special rules concerning the national parks and nature reserves. So like in national parks, you can camp only in designated places to protect the nature from wearing out. So it's good to check the rules and what apply to this special place that you're going to, and then you know. And there's also a list what you're not supposed to do, of course. Don't disturb the animals or people, and you are supposed to keep if you have a dog, you have to keep it on a leash at all times, unless you own the land yourself, then you can have it free. and don't cut down anything, and it's not also allowed to collect moss or lesion or fallen trees if they are somebody's property. And also you need, you can put campfires only in designated places, except you have the permission, if you have a permission from the owner of the land. But emergency situations are different, then you can put a fire up. And of course it's good to respect the peace of nature and quiet, and take all the litter that you take to the forest, you take it back too. Usually there are no trash bins in the forest. Yeah. So like I said, Lapland is the most well-known destination, I guess, in Finland, and I had a chance, I haven't been to Lapland too many times, which I guess is quite normal for many people who are living here in the south. You have to pay almost the same as you're going to the Mediterranean if you go to have a holiday in Lapland. So it's not something that I would do like every year. But still I had a great chance during my wilderness guide training to go for 1 month, a whole month, to Nuorgam, which is a small village, the most northernmost village in Finland. Is actually the northernmost point of the EU as well. And I was there in a small family-owned tourism company, and they brought groups from Central Europe there to visit. And the visitors spent a whole week there, and for each day they had a different activity. They had snowshoeing, they tried skiing, they went snowmobiling, and that's why I had to learn to drive the snowmobile too. And my first time was like, it was minus 30 degrees outside, and I was there first time. And I can tell you, it was cold. But actually, it didn't feel that cold, because when the air is very, very cold, it's actually dry too. So when it's dry, it doesn't feel so cold. But it was quite exciting. Yeah, and then they go to see the reindeer and the Sami culture, and because the
What is Jäämeri?
well, the sea that is,
I don't
in the north. Yeah, we did safaris there, some fishing safaris. And there was a lot of interesting things to do for people who come from Central Europe that they will probably never do again or have never done before. And I also had the chance to see how does it feel like when the sun doesn't come up at all. I had never seen the proper kaamos, which means the time when the sun doesn't come up. It still gets light maybe 4 or 5 hours every day, but you don't see the sun. It was okay. I was really afraid of the darkness, but it was okay. And then you could see the aurora later at night, and it was quite nice, and of course very peaceful there. So we also have 2 national parks here close to Helsinki. One is Nuuksio. How many of you have been in Nuuksio? Over half, I would say. Great. And the rest will probably go. Hopefully, Nuuksio is really, really nice, and it's accessible with bus as well. And there's things to explore. I live in Espoo, and I still don't know all parts of Nuuksio. But there are places that are close to the bus stops, and then there are more remote places. We spent actually 1 week camping in Nuuksio when I was in the wilderness training. And it's possible to do that, not only day trips. And the other one is Sipoonkorpi National Park on the eastern side of Helsinki, also a very nice place. And you can do some research. It's also accessible with bus. So Finnish people do all these traditional things that I already mentioned in nature, and then in the travel industry, I guess still the most popular things are hiking, downhill skiing, maybe nowadays backcountry skiing, uh, rafting, all kinds of activities that you do in nature. But in recent years, as this nature well-being theme has emerged, and forest bathing has also entered Finland, so we have discovered like a completely new type of being in nature that is not so familiar to people even here in Finland. Of course, Finnish people know that they love in the summer holidays just to sit on the porch of their summer cottage sauna and look at the lake and listen to the birds and the quick, I don't know what is quick, and to look at the fire and just relax. And this is actually pretty close to forest or nature meditation. It's the same mindset. So forest bathing or mindfulness in nature is nothing new. We do that type of relaxation already. But then it's a little bit different if you do it with a guided group. You do different kinds of exercises, and especially for people who have a hard time to de-stress and relax, it may be easier to introduce this type of mindfulness and meditation to them maybe for the first time. So I mentioned that nature has been researched a lot, or the effects of nature on humans, and don't be scared, I will not go through the whole list, but there are many slides, but they have found that there are many effects, both physically, mentally, and also socially, and maybe even spiritually, if you will. So when we go in nature, even in the first 5 or 10 minutes, our heart rate starts to slow down, the blood pressure starts to slow down, we start to breathe slower, and the stress hormones, cortisol levels that we always have in our blood, that starts to go down little by little. And so the negative effects of stress start to go away, and then instead our parasympathetic nervous system starts to get activated, and that's the part of our nervous system that is responsible for relaxation. So actually, when your body and mind relaxes, it's something that your body is doing. It's not something that is just absence of activity or just doing nothing, but there's actually stuff happening when your parasympathetic system is working. Your digestion starts working better, and it gives you more energy. And this is, of course, what we do every night when we're sleeping. And sleep is the most important way to relax and recuperate, recover. Yeah. So we do that every night. But in addition to that, it's important to learn to do it also in the middle of your busy life and your busy day. And there are different methods to make sure you do that. Because if you go like 100 miles an hour from the moment you wake up until you go to bed again, then you probably don't sleep so well if your life is too stressful. So it's good to learn how to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. And in the forest, that happens kind of automatically. You don't have to do anything special, just walk there among the trees, and this reaction will start. And another thing that has not been known before is that the plants and the trees actually extract stuff in the air. So there are invisible aerosols and aromatic compounds that come from the trees, especially here in Finland, pine trees, but also other trees that are called terpenes or phytoncides. And that's the stuff that the plants use to defend themselves against fungi or viruses, bacteria. So it's part of the plant's immune system, and it's in the forest air, and as we go there and we breathe that air, we also get part of that, especially during the summer months, there's more of that. And that has been found, those aromatic, it's basically like essential oils. Those are beneficial for our respiratory system, for our mental health, mind, relaxation, and also the immune system. So that's something that's new information. And the second thing is, maybe even more important, is that nowadays, since we don't spend so much time in nature, our microbiota, the microbes that we have on our skin, in our gut, in our mouth, it's too one-sided. So when we talk about the loss of biodiversity in nature, so that has actually happened to us as humans as well, that our kind of diversity in the microbiota has decreased since we have moved to the cities. And what has happened because of this is that all kinds of non-transmittable diseases like allergies, diabetes, atopic allergies, what else? There are other things like cancers too. All kinds of diseases have become more prevalent because our immune systems are not working so well anymore, because we don't train that. Our immune system and our microbiota needs training all the time throughout our lives, especially when we're small children. It's important to get like many types of bacteria in your system to be able to recognize what is bad for you and what is actually not dangerous. But you need that through your whole life. So that's one of the most important things why everybody should have a regular contact to nature, and preferably, like in the picture, you should be touching things, smelling things to actually get the nature on your skin to have more diverse microbiota on your skin and in your gut. And that has wide effects for your health and also mental health. And this has been a really big discovery, and many, like Allergy Association of Finland is campaigning about this, that people should get more nature contact to reduce allergies. And there are some psychological things that happen. Of course, they are related to our bodies too, the psychological things. Our nervous system, it's much easier to just relax and wind down when you're in a natural environment. Of course, you can do meditation, you can go to sauna, you can listen to music. There are many other things too that you can do. But in nature, it's just so much easier. All the negative thoughts become less, and positive emotions start to emerge after a while. It's easier to become happy, forget about your worries, be more optimistic. And somehow it's easier to reflect on your own life there too. You can see things more clearer, maybe appreciate what you have, and see that maybe some of your worries are not so big after all. And also, if you think your brain function, especially if you have been very stressed out, then you can think clearer, you can concentrate again. Like the concentration problem is almost like an epidemic these days too, because we have the phones, we have so much interruptions and signals coming to us from all sides. And when you have the concentration improved, then your learning and memory also start to improve, which means that problem-solving skills are easier. And your creativity starts to flourish again, you get a touch of your own intuition and feelings. And it's probably also easier to experience like life's meaningfulness, satisfaction, like some of you also already mentioned before. And you realize that maybe the clock is not so important. You start having more time, the busyness vanishes, and you can start seeing yourself and other people in a more positive light as well. So it goes on and on. And you can feel that you are part of something bigger than yourself and have feelings of gratitude and awe, and those feelings are very important for us as humans and help us feel satisfied and connected. And also socially, like if I think of especially company groups, it would be a good idea to take the meetings sometimes outside in the forest or in nature, because it promotes the group spirit and a willingness to cooperate and help each other. And also it's easier to listen to others and be present, be empathetic, be open. And there's no titles, everybody's just human there. So it's kind of lowers the threshold of communication and openness. Your emotional sensitivity becomes heightened among nature, and maybe you can express yourself more freely. And if you're feeling lonely and disconnected, so in nature, especially if you're with other people there, you can still feel more connected. And even if you are by yourself, you still feel that, like somebody said here, that nature accepts you just as you are. You are part of a bigger thing. So, forest bathing, I guess I already mentioned most of it. So you can see there are some different titles that this goes with around the world. But I like to use the forest bathing idea because it's kind of descriptive that you immerse yourself experientially in nature. Even though some people ask, well, do you actually swim there? Do I need my swimsuit? Well, you could do that too, but that's not the main idea. And this is a method that can be used in many areas. It can be used with healthcare groups like prevention or rehabilitation. It can be used with disability groups, different kinds of special groups. They benefit, and they probably, like elderly people who have otherwise maybe a hard time going in nature, so they can benefit greatly from nature and also forest bathing methods. And then of course corporate well-being is a good idea to maybe do a forest bathing session first and then start doing some project or brainstorming, and you get many more ideas and you kind of prime yourself to be more creative. And then tourism travel, it's a special way to experience the nature here in Finland. And not many people have done it in other countries, let alone in Finland. So I think this is a future growing branch of tourism as well. And like in general, why people are interested in the nature in Finland is just the peace and quiet, the cleanliness, purity, fresh air, since we do have the freshest air in the world. So people are already interested in this these type of things, and forest bathing is like one step further to take them there, to help them connect with nature. So what we do there actually is nature connection meditations, different types of like imaginative journeys, mindfulness exercises, breathing exercises, and sensory exercises. That's something that's very central to forest bathing, is to concentrate on your different senses. Touch, smell, vision, hearing, your body sense, and we go through all these senses, and the more you concentrate on just one sense, so you start feeling and seeing the world in a whole different way, and you may notice things that you have never noticed before, and you just walk past. And when you stop, and you stop to sense, then your whole idea of what the world is about may even change. It's really cool. So my services include guided forest bathing sessions, excursions, and I go anywhere I'm ordered to go, but I guess the most or the best places would be places where there actually is peace and quiet. But here in Helsinki area, you cannot avoid the fact that you can sometimes hear the traffic or the planes, but it doesn't stop you from, enjoying when you just concentrate on the nature. So Nuuksio is really great, and one of my favorite places is the Porkkalanniemi Peninsula. How many of you have been to Porkkala? Not so many as to Nuuksio. I really warmly recommend that too. I guess it's a little bit harder to go there because there's buses only during the weekdays, but if you get a ride, then it's one of the most beautiful nature spots in southern Finland, I think, Porkkalanniemi Peninsula. Yeah, so the actual guided tour is about 2 to 3 hours, because you need enough time for your system to, relax. If you just do it for half an hour, the effects will not be the same, even though physically you probably get the most benefits already in half an hour. But to get a proper effect, then it's good to be there a little bit longer. But the walking distance is not very much. You just go maybe 1 kilometer or max 2. So that's not the point. It's not like hiking. And especially in wintertime, that's why you're supposed to wear a lot of clothing, because otherwise you will get cold. And then it's nice to end with campfire coffee and some snacks and discuss how was the tour for you and what kind of observations and maybe new ideas you got. And then also what can be combined with this tour is either beforehand to have some information about the nature of well-being effects, or do that also in the forest before going to the forest bathing tour. And of course it's also always important to take care of the basic things, the safety plan. You have to know where you're going, you have your map, you have your phone loaded, you have your first aid equipment, and that's one of the good things that in the wilderness guide training, this safety part is emphasized a lot. So I should know what to do if something goes wrong, but of course this is a very low risk activity, which brings peace of mind to me anyway. But you never know what happens. Somebody might slip from the slippery rock or have a seizure. You never know what happens. So you have to be prepared. So there's one video. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I think we can have. Yeah. So let's have a break now. It's been made by Forest Therapy experience. Short introduction.
In a world filled with bustling cities and never-ending demands, there exists an oasis of tranquility, a sanctuary for the weary soul. Forest bathing is more than just a walk in the woods. It's an immersive sensory journey, a harmonious blend of humans and nature. Imagine offering your visitors a unique experience, one that sets your destination apart from the rest. With forest bathing, you tap into a growing trend, a global movement towards wellness and sustainable tourism. But it's not just about personal well-being. Forest bathing also brings positive environmental impacts. By promoting forest bathing, you become a guardian of the planet, encouraging responsible tourism and supporting conservation efforts. With guides and practitioners' guidance and customized programs, you can seamlessly integrate forest bathing into the tourism offerings, creating a holistic and experience for visitors. Join the movement. Embrace the power of nature. Forest bathing. Find your balance. Reconnect with nature.
Miten hänen syöntäisiin? Kanna, kasvis.
So here are some pictures how I have applied this method for tourism, and I kind of experimented with marketing forest bathing in Helsinki for international visitors. I used the TripAdvisor, Viator, what is it called? Alusta. Platform, yeah, distribution channel. And a platform is Viator with TripAdvisor, and there are many others like Get Your Guide and others. But unfortunately, I didn't manage to get more than one person in. Was this? I think it's September. I don't know. Maybe I started too late in the late summer to market it, and maybe it's still something so new that people don't really know what to expect. But maybe I should try again next year. But this one Canadian gentleman was very happy. He was coming from a big city and he was touring the whole Europe, and he was really appreciative of just time on the Harakka Island, which is a very nice small island just outside of Kaivopuisto in central Helsinki. So I chose that location because actually a lot of people, they just stay in they don't spend so much time in Helsinki, they don't have too much time to go to Vuoksi or Sipoonkorpi, but what they may have time for is one afternoon or one morning just to go to Kaivopuisto, take the boat to one of the islands and spend a couple of hours there. And it's a really great thing because then you can experience the Finnish archipelago even in the middle of Helsinki. And not even many Helsinki residents have been to this Harakka Island, so I recommend that to go there. It's kind of rocky, it's not so many tall trees, but you get a real feeling of the sea, and there's a nature center, there are some artists living there, and there are some exhibitions, events. You can see there's a small aquarium where you can see fish that grow in the Baltic Sea, and it's quite a peaceful, nice place to calm down. And there's also a campsite for anybody to use, make a fire there and have some coffee there. So I think I will continue cooperating with the city of Helsinki and the nature center next year, hopefully. Although I heard that there are so many birds in the springtime who are nesting there, that then it's maybe not a great time to go forest bathing because there's so much noise and the birds may even attack you if you get too close to them, but maybe later in the summer. you always have to cooperate with nature when you plant these things. This is from last weekend. I had a chance to go to the north coast of Oulu, and the Red Cross had an event, like a refreshing or like a free time event combined with some training for Red Cross friends who are volunteers who go to elderly homes or work with other special groups. And so this was introducing forest bathing to this group. It was quite challenging to do it in winter time for 30 people. And there were some people that had not dressed well enough and they were getting cold towards the end, even though they did have instructions how to dress. But so we made it a little bit shorter, and of course in winter time it's not such a good idea to go lay down and do stuff like that. But we did some pretty nice meditations in the nearby forest to the Rockua Health Spa. So I was very happy to hear there were some elderly people there too who I thought that maybe they think, okay, what this tree hugging thing is. But they were actually very touched by it. And everybody was really calm. Like, it's really fun to observe how people behave before we start. They are babbling and nervous and agitated. And at the end, the atmosphere of the group and the whole feeling is totally different and changed. And everybody's just calmed down and in a different place. So I love to observe that change in people. And we are probably doing a meditation called Between the Heaven and the Earth, where you connect with the sky and the earth and the nature around you. It's really nice. And then some extras I like to have on my tours is offering something to taste also from the nature. And what would be better than Finnish berries? Because I think bilberry or blueberry is the most healthy berry in Finnish nature. It has a lot of antioxidants and flavonoids and things that boost your vision and in general is very healthy for your gut, has healthy microbes and also vitamins and whatnot. So we should eat, even Finnish people should eat much more berries each day. And sometimes, well, if you are not a keen berry picker and you don't do the freezing thing yourself, then you can find berries in the freezers in all stores. And another product I have now found, and I actually also sell it to people if they want to buy it. It's called berry, and it's just crushed berry. So it's pure berries, but it's just in crushed, drinkable form. So this is a very nice drink to offer the customers after the tour. And then one thing is, because we are breathing the aromatic compounds when we are in the forest, and that's the most important thing. But you can also do some aromatherapy at home. And I have made a mixture in an oil. I have put there the lemon scent and the pine tree scent. So actually the same stuff that is found in the forest air. So I can mix it in an oil, and then I give this oil to people so they can still have the smell for the rest of that day at least. At home, I like to use the pine tree oil. I just put it somewhere so it's vaporized in the air, in the room air. And there is some research that actually that de-stresses you as well if you have good smells. So it's not just pseudoscience, it's actually science that smell is very important in terms of how you feel and how your mood is. And you can affect your mood by smelling good stuff. If you go to stores like Ruohonjuuri or other, maybe even just normal department stores, you can find these essential oils in small bottles. But you should not never put it on your skin, just smell it from somewhere else or mix it with an oil. And sometimes you can use that even in sauna, just put in a few drops into sauna water that you throw to the stones, then you can breathe this. Especially now when people have flu so much, so it's good to breathe like eucalyptus or something like that. Then a few words about sustainability. Of course, in a woman business like mine, it's very easy to do, and the traveler volume is very small, but still it's important to think of these things. And just walking in the forest, that's not something that is very stressful for the environment, which is good, so it's like low risk and low impact type of activity. But also, I have thought that one of the main things is how I can make a difference in this respect is to have my trips close by where I live, and maybe mostly for local people. Well, right now I'm not sure who will be the main customers, but it's important to activate the local people and show people that you don't have to travel to Lapland, or you don't even have to go to a national park always to get a great nature experience and nature connection. You can do the same thing even close to your house and somewhere close by. You can still get very deep experiences. Of course, sometimes you will want to go somewhere farther away and for several days, but it's still good to show people that there are so many unexplored places even close to where you live. So that saves the travels. And of course, it's important to educate people what the hiking etiquette is. We don't litter, we don't disturb people. But of course, in forest bathing, this is quite self-evident that we are a very peaceful group. Part of the responsibility is, like I mentioned, the safety plan and the first aid knowledge and first aid kit. And I also have a message on my website that we have an open group for anyone to come. There's no discrimination, and we respect all kinds of people from all backgrounds. Everyone is welcome. And if possible, it's always a good idea to use public transport or carpooling, at least, if cycling is not a possibility, to try to reduce the emissions from traveling to the activity sites. And if I need some products or buy the foods or whatever I need for my tours, I try to think of what I can find close by or support the local industries, work together with other local small businesses and entrepreneurs. And actually the small first step to acknowledge this work was that we got this Your Local Guide to Sustainable Helsinki mark from the City of Helsinki. So City of Helsinki has their event calendar on the internet, and you can look for different kinds of activities and events there, and some of them have this green mark that have been, you have to answer some questions, and you need to feel at least 11 things that you are doing for sustainability, and then you can get this mark. And maybe Kaisa can tell you about the STF, Sustainable Travel Finland. That's like an even better and more well-known also mark. That I should probably do that. I have started doing that, but it takes some work. to get that mark. And Visit Finland recommends all the travel industry companies doing this Sustainable Travel Finland, or join that program and get the mark. And one way also to give back to nature, since we get so much from nature, so I offer the possibility to, or inform people about taking part of this in this fundraising for establishing new nature reserves, or a new nature reserve here in southern Finland. There's a fund called Luonnonperintösäätiö, which buys forests basically to protect them. So they collect money to buy forests and then they protect them. And the southern Finland is the most problematic because all the forests are so scattered here and small, and so all the animal populations are quite they are not connected, which is not good for biodiversity, and there are no old forests, or very little old forests here in southern Finland. So I try to give, or when I start making money someday, I will donate 1% of income of the company towards this collection, and also encourage the customers or anybody to take part of this collection as well. So that's one way. And then, fortunately, I don't need so much stuff to do this type of work. So there's only sleeping pads, rain cloaks, some dish or cups, and then of course what we eat. But there's not so much that I need to buy for this thing, which is a good thing. But what I do need to buy, I always think that it should last for a long time and be made from something else than plastic, which is not always possible. But that's the aim, to reduce the use of that plastic. And for example, I found this type of sleeping pads that are made from twister cane. So it's biodegradable and biofoam. It should not have any plastic. Actually, I'm not quite sure if it has any, but most of it actually is this recycling or decompostable material. And some kupilka cups, which are widely used. But actually, kupilka cups, they do have plastic. I only found it a few days ago that it does have plastic, but I guess you have to have it in order for it to last. But anyway, that should be the direction. Well, let's see. Well, I have a nature meditation for you if you want to try, since we can't go in a forest. But I was just thinking of, well, that's in Finnish, I guess, but I can translate. Well, now we are living the hardest month of the whole year in Finland. Still, marraskuu, especially here in the south. Luckily, we did get some snow, which makes things quite much easier and lighter. But especially maybe those of you who are new to Finland, or you haven't experienced so many Novembers here still. So it would be nice to hear, how do you survive? And have you found any nice, ways to boost your mood, or try to keep your head up in during this time of year? And of course, Finnish people can participate too. Just stay inside. Is that a pretty good idea? Yeah, I know. That's the instinct that you have. You just don't want to go anywhere. But yeah, guys.
Ice swimming and sauna. Highly recommend.
Ooh, you actually do ice swimming.
Yes, I love it.
Why?
I
there's some research even about that.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel nice when you go there, but afterwards,
Yeah.
I guess. I've done it a couple of times, but I'm still not a
You have to
sport.
get used to it first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have some tips how to survive?
How to survive the Finnish darkness.
From lights.
What do you do to cheer yourselves up? I'm sure everybody has something. Listen to music or
He has some like.
yeah.
Yeah, just try to go out more and stay with people as much as you can.
Bullshit.
Don't stay alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Staying alone will like mess up your mind and you always feel anxious and depressed all the time.
You are so right. Yeah. Just find some company and go out. And actually, because there's not so much light, so it's a good idea to try to go outside even for 15 minutes every day during the daylight. Because that will help you to adjust your inner clock and keep your daily rhythm in place, because it can be pretty messed up. Like sometimes I stay up way too late and my whole rhythm is just messed up. But if you go out when when there's daylight and then you get some fresh air, oxygen, just go for a brisk walk, even for a short time. But if you do that regularly, I'm sure that helps a little bit. But of course, I think the main lesson that we could take from nature at this time of year is that it's actually also okay to be tired. It's also okay to do less stuff and be less active and just sleep more if you need more sleep and take care of yourself. Like nature is hibernating, so maybe, well, we can't do the same because we still have to go to school and work and so on and so on. But anyway, it's good to be like not so demanding towards yourself when you can, and do stuff that you enjoy. And yeah, and still go outside. I actually discovered only like a couple of years ago that you can go to forest even in November. It's green there. The moss and the evergreen trees, they are always green. So you can get a feeling of nature. Of course, it's not the same thing when it's summer, but still, usually if you go for a forest walk, you never regret it. You always come back with a brighter mind. So you could give it a chance. So I think we could end with, oh, by the way, maybe here is a good point. I didn't remember to say that you can always raise your hand and make questions. If you have anything you would like to ask me at this point. Okay, if not, you can always come grab my hand later and ask me afterwards, but we could try and do a nature meditation inside. But I have to find out first how do I play the sound.
Kono করছেন meditation?
আর তোর
করেন না?
এইথিস্টিক জিনিসপাতি না, মেডিটেশন যেতে নামাজ পড়া অনেক বেশি ভালো, সত্যি কথা বলা যায়, এবং কি এটা অলরেডি ইস্যু করা হয়েছে এবং এটা করে দেখা হয়েছে। আপনি সাথে জিকির করেন, এটা তো আরো ভালো জিনিস পাবেন। জিকির তো মেডিটেশন, মেডিটেশন হচ্ছে মানে
Meditation করলে আর খারাপ মনে হয়
না, মেডিটেশন হচ্ছে না, জিনিসটা বুঝেন যেটা নাকি কোনো